Michelle à la carte has some really great messages in it. This is the 20th episode of the 7th season of Full House. This is directed by Tracy, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it starts off with Stephanie establishing that she broke her arm. She slipped on some pizza on her way to ice skating, and apparently, well, I knew that Jodie Sweetin had broken her arm in real life, but I hadn't realised, and I'm kind of annoyed I didn't realise this. She broke it just before the previous episode, and there wasn't enough time, understandably, to write it into the previous episode. So apparently, in the previous episode, she's holding her arm in an angle throughout the entire thing. And I really want to go back and watch it and see if that's, well, I assume it is the case, but they obviously had time to write Jodie Sweetin's actual broken arm into the story. And we don't really have too much focus on that here. They maybe could have done a little bit more with it, but I don't think they needed to. The main focuses are Michelle and also a little bit of DJ and Steve. Steve phones and Danny answers. He tells DJ and she worries, why is Steve coming over? Does he still have feelings for me? Does he regret breaking up? Steve comes over and he just wants his CD back. And it's a little awkward, but it's a bit strange that it's awkward because they broke up on really good terms. It shouldn't be. It feels like they're about to have a fight. They don't, but it does feel like that's about to happen. And it shouldn't be that awkward because they didn't break up on bad terms. But nevertheless, they end up confirming that they can still be friends and they plan to go out together. And it's sweet. It's nice that we're still having a reason to have Steve in the show. And then we come to Joey very briefly. Stephanie is teaching Joey some ballet moves to help strengthen him for his hockey. Absolutely fine. We'll come back to Joey in a moment, but we do get some really good performances from Dave Coulier there. And then we come to Michelle. And Michelle asks Becky for her help in building a car for the downhill derby. But Kenny says that girls can't build cars, which honestly is like a rag to a bull. For both Becky and Michelle are both determined to show that actually they can build cars. But then, joking, Becky has a bit of banter with Danny and Jessie, and they're mocking her for being a girl building a car, and she's going to have flowers in the car, and they're just having fun with it. But obviously Michelle, being that much younger, doesn't realise that they're not being serious, and she takes their word to heart and realises that even the grown-ups think that Kenny was right. Girls can't build cars. And I think that was a really interesting thing to include. Yes, the message itself that of course girls can build cars is really important, but also it helps to highlight that even if you're just joking about these things, younger children might not realise that they're jokes, and they might misinterpret the message. Of course, their message is that of course girls can build cars, so let's just have some fun with it and poke fun at the fact that people say they can't. And that's what they were doing. They were just making fun of this ridiculous notion that girls can't build cars. But Michelle misinterpreted it as truth. And they have this lovely conversation with her, pointing out that of course girls can build cars, and of course another stereotype, boys can do ballet. We have Joey wearing the tights, doing the moves to strengthen his muscles or whatever he's doing. I don't know what I'm talking about for hockey. And I think that's great. It shows both sides of the coin. It's not just that girls can do things that are stereotypically boyish. Vice versa applies as well. So I think they did a really great job of tying everything together really nicely there. And then Michelle actually starts to celebrate the fact that she's a girl building a car and realizing that actually this is something to be proud of. And it's beautiful. And then we have the race for the last couple of minutes. And I rather liked how it ended up, because she is racing with Kenny at the end, which I liked. I liked the fact that they were the two going head to head, and Michelle realises they need another feminine touch to her car, so she puts a rose on the front of it. I was going to say on the bonnet, or I guess the hood, but I don't technically think that's what it's called on a car like that. I'm not really sure, but she puts it on the front of the car, and she wins the race because of the rose sticking out at the front. And I love that. It was so beautifully executed. It was such a joyful scene, and even Kenny said congratulations, though he kind of said it through gritted teeth, and I thought it was, a really fun way to end things. It's a great episode, some really brilliant messages. Everything is just beautifully told, and I think, as I said, including the fact that adults can joke about the fact that there's this stereotype. Obviously, in theory, it's not something to joke about, but when it comes down to the fact that it's such a ridiculous notion, particularly today, but in the 90s as well, that girls can't build cars. It's a very dated opinion even then. of course they can have fun with it, but you have to be aware that not everybody's going to realise that those are not your opinions. You are just having a bit of fun. And I think that was a really important message to include. And I guess credit to them for finding a funny way, to write in Stephanie's broken arm. And that must have really sucked if she did break it, if Jodie Sweetin did break her arm just before the previous episode. I couldn't find out how soon before the episode she broke it, but it sounds like it was very, very close to taping, which she must have been in pain. So that's gonna sting. Yeah, that must hurt. I've never broken anything, but I can't even. I don't want to think about it. I can't imagine how much it must hurt. But I'm glad they found a way to at least write it into this episode. And as I said, it's nice to have Steve in here as well. So needless to say, all things considered, Michelle à la carte is a pretty great episode of Full House with some really brilliant messages.